Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with Georgia Gun Owners with a breaking news alert for GGO members and, for that matter, anybody else who cares about freedom here in Georgia. GGO was proud to announce that late last week, as a matter of fact, we had the Second Amendment Preservation Act refiled in the legislature in Atlanta. And guys, that means that it's now go time for GGO members, for you guys to do your part in this fight and put pressure on your lawmakers to co-sponsor and vote for House Bill 1009. Guys, I'm going to break down SAPO law for you briefly, but more importantly, explain the current situation on the ground here in Atlanta and why now is the time for us to step on the gas to defend freedom for the next generation. Guys, if you're pressed for time, whatever else you do, hit the link below and send your pre-written email to your state senator and state rep and tell him or her, I want you backing SAPO law for Georgia. If you have a little more time, guys, I'm going to explain the bill and what's going on. So first things first, everyone knows the gun laws here in Georgia are pretty good. We have a pretty decent shell issue law. Thanks to GGO members, we have constitutional carry. We have defended stand your ground law and beaten back a whole host of gun control laws over the last couple of years. The problem is not here in Georgia yet. That's changing, though. The problem right now, obviously, is Joe Biden. Joe Biden wants to ban everything, confiscate everything, tax everything, seize everything. And if he can't pass it through Congress, which he can't right now, he grabs his pen, he signs an order, and he makes things illegal by executive fiat. The problem for Joe Biden, the fatal flaw in his agenda, is that whether it's current orders that mandate gun control or any future laws he could pass through Congress if he gets the House, for example, in November, all of these orders and laws are enforced right now by Georgia law enforcement officers. And if Joe Biden ever lost the use of Georgia troopers, deputies, and city cops, guess what? His agenda would collapse under its own weight because there simply would not be the manpower to enforce it. And guys, in a nutshell, that's what SAPO law does. HB 1009 simply says to Joe Biden, this is a sovereign state. We have our own constitution, which defends the Second Amendment. We have our own legislature. They pass the gun laws that we live under here, and our tax dollars hire our cops to enforce it. And so going forward, under SAPO law, Joe Biden will be told, you can't use our cops to enforce any federal gun control laws. To be clear, we're not saying that Joe Biden can't have these laws enforced by federal agencies, but here's the dirty, rotten secret he never wants you to know about. They don't have the manpower. They just don't. So while they can use federal authorities to enforce federal gun control laws, the bottom line is that if we take away the use of our cops from Joe Biden, we protected here in Georgia from whatever this madman tyrant can possibly conjure up next. Guys, the lead sponsor on this is Representative Charlice Byrd. Here's a photograph of her. If you've not met Charlice, guys, she is a powerhouse for freedom. She loves to fight for the Second Amendment. She is a relentless voice for gun owners, and she is the lead sponsor on this bill. But now we need co-sponsors. So again, hit the link beneath or above this broadcast and tell your state rep, hey, I want you on this bill. So when it comes to SAPO, there's a couple key concepts I want you guys to be aware of. The first one is right here, line 100 through line 103. I'm going to summarize this very briefly. All it says is that no law enforcement agencies or employees of this state shall have the authority to enforce, attempt to enforce, or in any way help with the enforcement of federal acts, federal executive orders, rules, regulations, or anything else that regulates firearms, accessories, and ammunition. So clearly, we still want Georgia cops to enforce Georgia gun laws, right? What we're saying here is Georgia cops cannot be used by the Biden White House any longer to enforce federal gun control. The lower paragraph, lines 104 through lines 108, makes it clear that we also will not allow our agencies to be used to give material aid. It says right there on line 105, will not give material aid to aid in the enforcement of federal gun control of any kind. And so that means the Biden White House can't call into your county sheriff's office and demand that they get help, whether it's manpower, surveillance, database checks, or anything else, if the goal is enforcing federal gun control laws. And it might sound like a small bill, like that's just 2 paragraphs, But guys, the ramifications of SEPA is almost incomprehensible for us, because when we assert the 10th Amendment and say, sorry, Joe, this is a sovereign state, and we're not going to use or let you use our cops to enforce your agenda. When we do that, that's it. His agenda literally collapses under its own weight, and that's what SEPA law would do. One other big section in our SEPA law, which the left does not like, and that is the enforcement section, because when we crafted SEPA and we used other states' language to model best language for us here in Georgia, we knew that the city of Atlanta, for example, Fulton County, they wouldn't give a hoot about SEPA law if there was no teeth. We have to make sure that a rogue agency, a rogue department head, a police chief, a mayor, like here in Atlanta, can't simply say, yeah, we're not going to listen to that law, because, folks, that happens more than we'd like to admit. So what we did with SEPA law is we put teeth in it, as you can see right here. It says on line 110, any subdivision or agency that employs a law enforcement officer who knowingly violated SEPA shall be liable to that party in a suit with the penalties begin at $50,000 per occurrence. What does that mean? It means that any department that violates SEPA law would be subject to you in a civil court action, not the individual cops. We're not suing the cops here, but the agency. And what that ultimately means is their insurance company. You can sue them in civil court for damages if they violate SEPA law. So let's just say that, God forbid, in November, Joe Biden flips the House and keeps the presidency. And let's say that next year, 2025, Joe Biden can pass a ban on AR-15s. And folks, that is possible. I want to be clear on that. If that happens, and if we have SEPA law on the books here in Georgia, that the city of Atlanta violates SEPA law and comes to your home and confiscates 2 of your AR-15s, you can sue that agency in civil court for $100,000 in damages. That is what that means. And that is why the left hates SEPA. And guys, it's not just the left. The rhinos hate it too. So again, hit the link below or above and send your email into the Capitol right now. I'm going to give you guys some of the backstory now. I'm just going to be very honest with you guys, as we always are. Everybody in Atlanta was trying to get us to not even file this bill in the first place. It's an election year. Primaries are not that far away. And the Rhino Brigade here in Georgia, they were hoping that we would go along with the mamby-pamby BS bills they are pushing this session to make sure they could never be held accountable for not advancing real pro-gun bills. We don't roll that way. And so we told them, after their numerous efforts to get us to not file SEPA, we told them to pound sand, and Charlice has pulled the trigger, and we are rocking and rolling, guys, with HB 1009. Here is the real rubber meets the road situation we have right now. Leadership, and frankly, both chambers, they believe that the best way for them to preserve their majority in November is to moderate right now on our gun rights. I'm going to back up and say it again. They literally believe that if they make a deal with the left and they pass something small when it comes to gun control, that is how they're going to secure their re-elections in November. Now, Alex and myself, we have told them, leadership members, individual reps, senators, we've told all of them that is stupid. If you do not give GGO members a reason to fight for you in November, they're simply not going to fight for you. If you betray us and you make a deal with the left, they will especially not fight for you in November. But this attitude is spreading right now throughout the Capitol. And that's why your pressure has never been more important. We have pro-gun majorities because GGO members elected them. We chose them to go down to Atlanta to fight for our gun rights, not make deals with Michelle Au on safe storage laws. But now it's time they hear from you. They've heard from me. They've heard from Alex. Now, guys, we need you to pound that pre-written email link and make sure they hear from you. Tell them you expect them, you demand that they co-sponsor and vote for HB 1009. If they don't, make sure they know you're going to remember this, because primaries, again, are only a couple of months away. And tell them point blank, I will not fight for somebody who will not fight for me. There is a shelf life right now, I think, on Georgia. I think we probably all agree with that. There is a shelf life on our opportunities here in Georgia. There is a scenario where we don't have control of this legislature very much longer. Many people think that. Maybe it happens in November. Maybe it happens 2 years from now. I don't know. What I do know is that we had better use the majorities we have right now to secure freedom while we have the chance to do it, because there is no guarantee what we're going to have in the chamber in January. So guys, again, hit the link, make your voice heard, hit that link, share it with your friends, your family, coworkers, shooting buddies, have all of them send their emails into the Capitol. If you can, guys, donate or go to joinggo.com and get signed up today, guys. Much more to come. Pour on the pressure and stay free.